Giddy Up this Friday. Great to have your company on racing.com, on your local SEN track dial or your RSN dial, plus our apps. And these days you can watch us as well every day. We're on racing.com on Thursday and Fridays, but every day we're on our Facebook page. We're streaming live on the SEN app as well, plus our YouTube channel. And every Friday, Dean Evans will be joining me throughout the spring, thanks to winningedgeinvestments.com, tips, ratings and betting education for racing and sports. Dean, good morning to you. It's a great time for Winning Edge Investments because the spring has arrived and the footy finals, well, they're in full swing in the AFL and then the last round in the NRL, but the finals, of course, will start next week.
Yeah, good morning, Gareth. How are you? And
good, thanks,
absolutely
mate.
Fantastic time of the year. Like you said, we've got all the top horses racing now. We've got a couple of months of just the best racing that they can possibly be, and plus the footy finals. So very busy time for us at Winning Edge Investments and the team, making sure we're tipping winners for all of our members. And yeah, some of our services are absolutely flying at the moment. So it's really, really pleasing.
It was a fill-up yesterday or last week. Too Darn Discreet was too good for Dan O'Sullivan. And Miss Rubini, you were all over her, and I thought she was mighty in defeat as well. So maybe we follow her going towards Sir Rupert Clarke.
Yeah, absolutely. She was very stiff, sort of sitting four wide, no cover. It's pretty hard to do that in any race, and any horse that sort of gets beat a lip, particularly by such a good horse as Magic Time is obviously flying. So I think Miss Rubini definitely a horse to follow. Yeah, Too Darn Discreet was good and on display. The other one that I mentioned too, won easy at Caulfield and looks like she's a Group 1 mare on the up, targeting the Empire Rose.
So on this particular segment, we go through some of the feature races, especially Group 1 races here, and we get your thoughts on these events. And we'll start off with the Moir Stakes at Moonee Valley. And the market's changed quite considerably even this morning here, since this morning. So Alabama Lass is the favourite, and she's now into $4 with Bet365. I'm fascinated to get your thoughts on Asher. She's at $5.50 and a clear second favourite. From Barrakill at $6. 9 ounces at $6.50. Skybirds had some backing to $8.50 now. Rothfire is into $12, and then big prices for Oak Hill at $21, Arabian Summer at $21, and the Bet365 traders say La Dorada has been a mover, and the Kiwi mare, she's at $23 now, mate. So how do you analyse this year's Moir Stakes?
Well, look, I always start with the historical profiling, what sort of horse is needed to win this sort of race. It's been a 1,000-metre race for the last 10 years, Group 1. It was 1,200 metres before that, but all 10 winners in the last 10 years have at least been Group 1 placed over 1,100 or 1,200. The only qualifiers are Rothfire, Payline, Q-Man, Sway, and Alabama Lass. 9 of the 10 winners that either won a Group 1 or at least $1 million race. Payline, Q-Man, La Dorada and Arabian Summer are the only qualifiers there. And none of the 10 winners had the top 5 average prize money. So again, the class horses, Rothfire, Arabian Summer, Skybird, Alabama Lass and La Dorada. So Escher, she's got the 50 kgs. She's quick, but, we're talking about a benchmark 72 horse. She jumped out really well. I think one thing that people have missed is that the time was obviously very quick in the latest Mornington jump out, but she'd already had a race, so she was rock hard fit. The other thing is I've seen some people online, comparing her times to the other trials on the day. She actually was on the main course proper, whereas all the others were on the secondary course, so they weren't on the same course. So you can't actually compare the times. So look, to be trying to do this at your third start, she's a very talented filly and she's quick, but she's not going to get her own way here with Midwest, Alabama Lass, also pushing up, forward and Golden Booms. There's going to be a heap of speed here, and I'd be wanting a much bigger price around Escher. Mm-hmm. The two I think are best value. Rothfire, it's a funny thing to say as an 8-year-old, but he seems to be trialling the best that possibly he's ever trialled, certainly in the last 3 years. His Doomben trial, he won by 4.5 lengths. It was plus 9.3. That was a clear quickest time of the day, about 4 lengths quicker than the second quickest trial, and there were about 17 trials on the day. And they might say, oh, well, that's Rothfire. His previous trials were nowhere near plus 9.3. Last prep he started off with a minus 1.1. His trials were 5 lengths and 8 lengths slower than the quickest of the day. So He's 8 years old. He's only had 35 starts, but on the trials, I actually think he's getting better. And, you know, only 2 starts ago, he sat 3 wide, no cover, got beat ahead by Sunshine and Paris in the Group 1. He maps really nicely behind this sort of hot speed to suck up along the fence. And, you know, I really think Rothfire is a great bet at around $12. And the other one is jumping up well at Arabian Summer. Who's jumped up well twice with 2 really nice easy sort of jump out wins. She is $23. She again, I think some people have been mapping up, but I actually think she'll sort of take a sit back there and again be sort of 3 pairs back on the fence with sort of Rothfire outside. And I think one of those 2 can sort of get behind that really hot speed, set by all those speedsters and just burst through. Again, she meets those sort of criteria of you know, having won a sort of $1 million plus race over the sprint distance and being one of the leading prize money horses. And you know, it's just interesting that on the historical profiling, horses like Escher and the Market and Barraquil and Neon, sort of the you know, 3 or sort of 4 in the market, they just don't qualify under any qualification of a horse needed to win this race.
In saying that, it is a different looking Moir Stakes this time around, and it hasn't got, like in previous years, you've had some of the big guns of the sport turn up and be a short price favourite in a race like this, for instance, like Imperatrice in recent time.
Oh, absolutely. You're absolutely right. It's certainly a weaker race. And, you know, this race has been won by Bufferings and Imperatrices and Extreme Choices, Nature Strips. So there's been some good additions. But I still just think the prices on some of these horses, and Neon's a really good horse, but just maps awfully, unfortunately. You know, Esther's trying to do this at a 3rd start, and she's not going to get all her own way like she has previously. And so, look, and I'm not saying any of these horses can't win, I just don't see how they're valued.
Yeah. Just quickly, I've got about a minute before I have to take a break. Rothfire, where does he get to in your map?
I've got him back. There's sort of a really hot speed set by those 4 horses that I mentioned. I've then got Arabian Summer on the fence, Rothfire outside her. Yep. And then you've really got this line of Barraquil, La Dorada, Neon, Q-Man and Sir Sway, all who are just stuck out trying to figure out what they're going to do. And they're either going to be posted out wide trying to push forward, or they're probably going to have to try to take a step back behind sort of Arabian Summer and Rothfire, who I presume are not going to let them cross in front of it. So, yeah, really interesting map. But I think all those horses are they're just sort of stuck out in the breeze trying to figure out what they're going to do.
0499 736 736 to join our conversation. Dean Evans from Winning Edge Investments with us. He's got a great prize that he's giving us as well, giving away to our RSN and SEN track listeners and our racing.com viewers as well. It's worth about $30,000, so you'll tell us a little bit more about that straight after this break. Plus, we'll preview the Shitakqua Stakes, the Furious Stakes in Sydney, and the Chelmsford Stakes in Sydney. That's coming up next here on Giddy Up.
Live on RSN and SEN Track. This is Giddy Up with Gareth Hall.
Welcome back to Giddy Up. Gareth Hall with you this Friday morning. Great to have your company on racing.com and also SEN Track and RSN. From Winning Edge Investments, I'm joined by Dean Evans, and we're going through some of the races that he doesn't mind this weekend. And let's have a look at the Shitakqua now, which is race number 5 at Moonee Valley. And Angel Capital's a $2.70 favourite from Sioux Sensation with Bet365 at $3.80. Throw on Red Hot Nick at $4.40, and then Miraval Rose at $7.50 here. And then the New South Wales visitor, Compelling Truth at $8.50. Dino.
Yeah, look, I'm keen on Miraval Rose here. And
okay.
I'm just amazed at the price. There was a really strong trial at Caulfield over 900 metres on the 13th of August. Miss Rubini won that trial by a nose. And we saw how well she went last week in the Cochrane, would have won with any luck. Miraval Rose got beaten a nose by her in that jump out, was under no pressure at all, and basically the same sectionals. You had Neonce third in that jump out, who's one of the favourites in the Group 1. Magic Time was fourth in that jump out, beating 2.6 lengths, and Skybird was 5.2 lengths behind in that jump out, and she's one of the favourites in the Group 1 too. we've got Miraval Rose coming here. She's already a multiple listed winner. She's getting weight from a horse like Zoo Sensation, who's been winning benchmark races. Angel Capital is a horse that we followed as a 3-year-old, but now with a new stable, Waller's record first run for a new stable is actually not that flash. 33 runners for 4 winners and a minus 30% profit on turnover, so they usually overbet. And he's only had a couple of really quiet trials, Angel Capital. So I'm just really struggling to understand how she's getting weight off sort of benchmark horses, and you're getting just we took 950 a couple of days ago. Still 750 is a really, really nice price. And, she's mapped there nice on the fence to get a run behind the leaders. And, I'm not sure what I'm missing, but that seems like a very, very good bet.
All right, then. So that's a good push there for the Simon Wild Train Galloper at Caulfield in the Shitakqua. And just going through the price there once again, we're getting $750. Graham Begg, I should say, with Miraval Rose. And Geordie Childs takes the ride, so $750 for her. And Angel Capital. Where do you think Angel Capital will get to in the run?
I've got him at last.
Okay, there you go.
So, he's had a couple of quiet trials, but based on his natural speed, which is what my database does it on, no opinion, and just a pure natural speed, he maps last. So, and quite comfortably. So, it's only in an above average tempo, but I don't think they're going to go silly. You've got Red Hot Nick and Compelling Truth up front, Miraval Rose right behind them, just getting the suck run. And, I think Angel Capital might be one for a bit later in the prep.
In Sydney, you got a couple of races you want to look at. The Furious Stakes. This is for the 3-year-old fillies. Which way are you leaning here? Because it's $4.40 the field with Bet365.
Yeah, the two horses, Keenestein are Garwood and then Apocalyptic.
Okay.
Garwood, won Warwick Farm Maiden by 2.5 lengths. That second horse then won by 3.5 lengths. She's done really well in both trials, around +3 and +4.9 clear quickest of the day. I just think, forget that first up run, just didn't handle that bog-heavy track at Randwick first up. But she's going to really, really like the good track here. Settles to lead and dominate. I think can definitely lead all the way. Another horse, I've spoken about a bit, Apocalyptic is certainly one for the future. Whether Barrier 1 first up here is ideal for her, I'm not sure, but she's really impressed in the trials at Warwick Farm. She ran +5.2 the last 400 and just under a hold. She flew home for second on debut at Randwick and beat sort of multiple group class horses, including the Magic Millions winner. So I think she's a very high quality group one filly. I just don't know whether being tucked away back there from Barrier 1 back in the ruck, she's going to need a little luck. I think first up Apocalyptic, but she's certainly the one for the future to look at. And I think a Garwood could be the fit horse that they really struggle to run past here.
So Apocalyptic, she's at $4.20 from that inside gate. But as I said a few times today, Michael Friedman and Tommy Berry especially, got big raps on her. So, and within the law is an interesting runner. She's had good support with Bet365 at $4.60. The other race that we'll take a look at here is the Chelmsford, which is race 7, Group 2. You got Charwolf at $2, Sir Dilius at $4, Arapaho at $10, Your Horse Forban at $11, and then Lindemann at $11. Robusto's into $12. How do you read this race here, the Chelmsford Stakes, which is nearly the most, I reckon, interesting race of the day anywhere in the country?
Yeah, certainly interesting from a Cups perspective with the likes of Arapaho and Forban, Sir Delius, Land Legend. It's a really interesting race for the future, and you've got Chilwell, who will obviously be targeting the Group 1 miles and 2,000 metre races also. From a historical perspective, 12 of the last 14 winners of the Chelmsford have been second up, and they've all come out of the Wink Stakes for the first up run. And 10 of the last 11 winners have settled in the first 4 on running. In fact, on this day, generally on paces are favoured, which is something to keep an eye on, I think, throughout the day for all the major races, the Chelmsford, the Concord and the Tramway. Historically, there's a meeting and the track's nice and good with the rail 4 metres out where on paces are benefited. From that perspective, the horse that sort of fits the bill second up off a Wink Stakes run and then on paces, Lindemann. really sort of average speed here, and he should be able to set a tempo with sort of Robusto and Full Count Felicia. His last 3 second up runs, he's been third in the Chipping Norton. He was then first in the $750,000 Craven Plate Group 3. And he was third last prep, beaten half a length in the Group 1 Chipping Norton to Via Sistina and Fangirl. Just completely forget last run, bog-heavy track. The horse just doesn't handle a wet track at all. Back to dry, Nashville Willa dominating from in front. It just profiles absolutely perfectly for a winner of the Chelmsford, and just a really, really nice double-figure odds price, I think, for Lindemann. And he just looks a great each-way bet in this race.
Yeah, I know Mickey Gannon was keen on Lindemann too in the weekend preview, so that is a good push around $11. Your horse Vauban that you got a share in, along with Australian Bloodstock and Winning Edge Investments. But we've got a SEN Vauban comp, which is exciting. It's up to around $30,000. Just explain what you can win, mate.
Yeah, really exciting prize. 2 elements to it. You win a guaranteed race day experience for 2 to your choice of either go to the Everest at Randwick or the Caulfield Cup at Caulfield on the 18th of October. You'll be looked after. Premium tickets worth $5,000. Premium food all the day, beverage package, and marquee. Just a really fantastic day out for you and someone else, worth up to $5,000. And then the second element is you'll be essentially an owner of Vauban for the day in the Caulfield Cup and have the opportunity to win 1% of his net prize money, which could be up to $25,000 based on how Vauban runs in the Caulfield Cup. And
how do we enter again? It's pretty easy.
Yeah, it's got sen.com.au/win. Find the Winning Edge Investments Ultimate Race Day Out banner. Click on that. Just check your details in there, and you go straight in with an opportunity. Tell us in 25 words or less why you deserve the Ultimate Race Day Out, and then you're in.
Beautiful, mate. That is easy. So sen.com.au/winners. Follow the prompts to the Winning Edge Investments competition. Tell us in 25 words and less why you would like to be in this competition. Go to Caulfield Cup Day or Everest Day with a group of mates and own a percentage, a small percentage there of Vauban. And if he wins, well, you win up to, close to $30,000. It's not a bad prize at all. And, just before we let you go, I had a look at your results with Trial Spy, and you haven't missed the last year.
Yeah, it's been a really, really enjoyable time. We sort of work in units of 100-unit bank. Last 12 months has been plus 175 units at 26% profit on turnover, but the last 35 days, so over the last month, we've been plus 100.4 units at 88% profit on turnover. So someone who's just betting $100 a unit, that's over $10,000 profit in just the last 35 days for our members, and only $287 a month for the service. So absolutely flying. This is always the best time of the year, as I say. Between August and January when it's spring, and then the summer, good tracks. This is when the service does best, and like I say, you just can't bet without it. We backed a horse a couple of days ago at $51. He starts today at $6 at Canberra, and that's just the kind of edge you can get from these trials where the bookies are missing the prices. We're taking them, and they're winning.
Love having you on. Giddy up, mate. Looking forward to the rest of the spring. You're in fine form. Good luck this weekend, especially with Vauban, and we'll catch up with you next week.
Cheers, yeah. Appreciate it.
There's Dean Evans from winningedgeinvestments.com. Tips, ratings and betting education for racing and sports. And that competition, the Winning Edge Investments SEN competition with Vauban is great. So go to sen.com.au/winners. Follow the prompts, and you get a chance to go with a few mates to either the Everest or the Caulfield Cup, and then have Vauban running for you in the Caulfield Cup.